All right, we're recording.
All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to our mastermind this morning. I hope you guys all had a chance to see that beautiful video by Mikey Pulker on vulnerability. And it was such a beautiful video and so timely. Juan and I had practiced on this topic on my Sunday after our Sunday evening Zoom, and it was quite illuminating and inspiring. And we wanted to do it again for you guys today. And then I saw that video and it was just so perfect. And by the way, I should introduce myself if there's anybody who hasn't met me before, who's new to our team to Bliss Ohana. I'm Rachel Balansat, and I'm Crown with the company. And I lead on Tuesdays when I'm in town. So I just wanted to welcome everybody. And I also am going to introduce Juan here, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the video. But Juan is one of my dear friends who I've known for almost 20 years. Somewhere in the 90s, we lived in a cooperative. Actually, we both lived in a cooperative house, but we didn't live there simultaneously. But I was living with his wife, Jade, and then he moved in after I moved out. So we have this interesting history together from back in the day in Santa Cruz. And look he's wearing this aloha shirt. That just expresses Juan right there. He's full of aloha. He actually just got back from Kauai, and he's going to Kauai again for our regional event. And he's a big heart, like just this big heart, and has been such a good friend and just so dear to me for many, many years. So, and I've watched his kids grow up, and it's just been really fun. If this makes noise, just let me know, because it kind of sometimes taps. So, today we would really love to share with you the power of vulnerability. That is the topic for today's mastermind. And I wanted to start by just acknowledging how Juan has really blossomed in his leadership and his business. And it has been, for me, illuminating and empowering for myself to see him really step into his truth and to really go through this period of, like, where in the beginning he just signed up all these people. He just was fearless and just like was signing up people and like jumped up to executive and was like, wow, And then during that time I like traveled, and then I came back, and we've been on this journey together. And then I'm going to let him tell. Juan, I want you to share your story from your perspective and what that has been like, having a big start, slowing down, and then now you have a team that's building, and now you actually have your own thread, and you're leading people, and you've got people under you signing up. So share a little bit about your journey to where you are now. You've had some really big breakthroughs this year, and I'd love for you to share that.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Before I start, by the way, how's the lighting? Is the lighting okay? Yeah. Do I have any green?
You look gorgeous.
You look great.
Yeah. Am I good? All right. My hair okay?
Yeah, you're great.
Is my shirt bunching up weird? Am I fat? I'm actually sweating. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm scared. That's the truth. I'm afraid of how I look. I'm afraid of what I'm going to say. Or when you even asked me to come on and do this Zoom or the training on Sunday, it freaked the hell out of me. There's no lie about it. In fact, I'll just share a little bit about my journey as Rachel asked me to. The whole topic of this conversation today is vulnerability and getting in touch with our authentic voice, our truth. That has been a very difficult struggle and journey for me in my life. I was the immigrant kid. I was the one who was different in my school. The one with a weird little accent who confused his J's and his Y's. And Jello, the color and the food were indistinguishable in my tone. I was the kid who was picked last. I was a kid who felt somehow indebted. And that led to a lot of martyrdom in my life, this sense of duty and having to give. And when I left high school, I joined the Conservation Corps because I wanted to do right with the world. And that led to a career in the fire service, which was awesome and inspired me. I was in service in a really big way, but ultimately would mean sacrificing my days off. I was working for CDF Cal Fire, and we were gone all the time in the summer. So never really finding a place where I could truly be myself. You know, in the fire service, you had to be a certain way. There was an expectation. The same was true when I became a building inspector, or when I worked in the lab, or when I ended up being in code enforcement, and all these different roles that I played in my life. It was always this fear, underlying fear of being accepted, of doing things right, of saying things the right way, of showing up in the world to please others. And in all of that, ended up kind of losing myself to a point where I had reached a pretty scary place physically. You know, I'd reached a point where I was sick, diabetes, diverticulitis, had a foot of my colon removed. I was depressed. I was inflamed. I was tired. I'd come home and I was checked out, completely checked out. And I'll tell you what's even bigger than those little fears was the fear of checking out of the world early. I was experiencing diseases that I shouldn't have at my age. And fear of also losing my marriage because I was checked out. Fear of, you know, not being engaged with my kids. And the biggest one is a fear of not having a real purpose, because deep down I've always loved being in service and helping people. So when this opportunity came around, you know, I started putting the food in my body, and the changes were so obvious that everyone could tell. I was standing taller. I was feeling good. I was coming into work whistling. I was coming home with energy and playing with my kids. I was engaged again. I felt like I had some woohoo, you know, spunk. And I even got to a place where I didn't really care so much about my job because, you know, people were signing up. I was seeing a little bit of success. I was looking at my mentors. I was feeling the hubris of like, yeah, I can do this too. Yeah. And in a few months after starting and losing a bunch of weight and feeling awesome, I quit my job. And then it all really came up. Then it really came up. Like, I have to be a network marketer, right? I've got to figure this thing out. I've got to sell. I've got to make it work. I've been someone who's been punched in a clock and being told what to do his whole life, and talk about intense fear. So I don't know if any of you deal with fear around this, but what I learned when I took that leap of faith, um, and every single time that I have been forced to push into these scary spots, has been that magic is on the other side of it. You know, quitting my job, all scary as it was, meant that I was captain of my time for the first time in my life. And you know what? It came, things trickled. I also had a consulting thing on the side for building and zoning inspections. And, you know, I don't really pursue it, but the phones call, people come. And the more I'm in this place of trusting and really introspection, that's I guess the biggest, you know, the best word I can describe this phase of my life has been one of like going to the scary places and asking, you know, working on it, seeing a therapist, you know, picking up the phone anyways, calling people anyways. So I wanted to share with you that if you're feeling really afraid in this business, like, I don't know what to do, or I don't know what to say, or anything else like that, you're not alone. You're totally not alone. And the more I also learn and follow and read and look at videos, etc., from different leaders, everyone has had the same experience. So I wanted to share that with you first and foremost, in that doing things like this is scary as hell. And yet the feedback I've gotten, like on Sunday, is so heartwarming. It's so amazing. And you know what? It didn't matter that I was afraid that I had that errant little ear hair or the ones that grew out of the end of my nose, or that my shirt bunches up, like my wife's always, tuck that up or get that, like that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And I've spent a whole life trying to fit in or resonate with other people's truth. Do you know what I mean? And what's been happening for me, especially lately, because I started taking the Bob Heilig's legacy leadership class, and some of the stuff he's teaching is like it affirms what we've been learning here. That what we're in the business of really is feeding people, right? But not just nutrition. We're feeding them love. We're feeding them permission to be themselves. We're seeing people, we're pacing them, we're looking at where they are in life, matching their pace and bringing out the best of them. I mean, that affirmation that you gave me, Rachel, was unbelievable. It's incredible. When I didn't believe in myself, that I could be healthy or that I could have a different path in my life, you believed in me. You've been cheering me on this whole time. And that's one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given. And I mean, I've got a long list of people like that. My wife, for sure, she's my best friend and my biggest cheerleader, and she's tolerated so much of my anxiety and my fear and the stress. And we put on a good face and everything's cool on the front, but it's a lot of work. This is scary stuff. But what happens is when I share my authenticity, it doesn't even it's not even about appearance, really, because it's deeper than that. It's been an opportunity for my voice to come out, for my truth to come out, to engage with people and give them permission to share their reality and their truth and their authenticity with me, and to reflect those qualities back to them has been like unbelievable. It's fed my heart more than anything else, and it's changing my whole perspective about life. And now things, when I hear them, that the radar is up, so you're looking at different things, and my vibration is different, and I'm catching those ahas, like when Bob Heilig says, to focus on living a life of impact and significance. Impact and significance is followed by income and success. And we're so busy worried about income and worried about being successful that we lose the opportunity to have impact in others' lives, And to live a life of significance, in my opinion, really means one of being authentic. Because I spent a whole life, guarded, quiet in certain ways. And I don't know if there's the men on this group can relate, but we're supposed to be stoic. We're supposed to have it figured out. And I, react to fear with this, that's always been my thing. And even to this day, I mean, I spend a lot of time pacing this house like a caged lion, because that's how I manage my fear, and I talk to myself and I go, okay, I'm going to do it anyways. So today, for example, when I was asked to do this training, I went through a ton of scripts in my head. I was going to write it down. I was going to make notes. I was going to do this. I was going to do that. But the truth of it is, the more polished I came onto this screen, if I was, dressed in a suit and, less casual, or talking from talking points and telling you the truth about you, the less you'd be paying attention, the more your eyes would be glazing over, right? But I'm hoping that just by being myself and having a conversation as if I am having one with my friend, and that's something that I'm learning more and more when I talk to my camera, that on the other side of it are my beautiful Hana, these people that love me, they reflect that back to me, and this is the opportunity that we have. This is the power that we have. And I want to illustrate something. I just, I was sitting here. One of the ways that I relax is I play my guitar. And I trust that if I can be in a place of centeredness and calmness and just say, all right, universe, God, the words will come. I don't have to worry about that. All I have to do is show up be in service, right? Get out of my own way, and the words will come. And when that happens, also the metaphors come. And I was playing guitar, and I checked this out. I'm hoping this will work, because this will be neat if it does, with the microphone I have. But this is a tuning fork. This is the way I tune my guitar. This tuning fork is, by design, vibrates at the tone of A, only A, 440 megahertz. That's it, okay? And that's important, because you and I and everyone else are a tuning fork. Deep inside, we have a truth that resonates if we let it ring, okay? Check this out. So I have my guitar, and a guitar's strings are tuned E, A, D, G, B, E. So the way you use a tuning fork, and I'm going to mute all the strings. I'm going to get my microphone as close as I can. In fact, I'm going to take it off of my ear here and put the microphone next to the sound hole. So the way a tuning fork works is you strike it, it vibrates. You put it against the body of the guitar. I'm hoping you guys can pick that up. Do you hear that? Do you hear the Okay,
I heard
cool.
it.
Cool. Now check this out. This is really neat. If your strings are tuned correctly, the A string is going to resonate, or it's going to vibrate to the same frequency as the tuning fork. That's how you know you have them in tune. And what happens is when I pull the tuning fork away from the guitar, it's going to continue to resonate in A. So check that out. Put the microphone in there. Oh, I had the string of the microphone muting the A string. Let's try that again. It's subtle. I'm not sure if the mic's going to pick it up. But the point being, when a true A vibrates, the string that's tuned to that same vibration resonates. It picks up the vibration. It starts to vibrate at the same frequency and persists. And I would be able to demonstrate it more. I'm not sure if it's worth the time when I mute all the strings and you see that the A persists, or when I push my finger on the A string and I pull the tuning fork away, how the sound stops completely. Here's the point. In our lives, we have people of various frequencies. E's, D's, G's, all of them, right? If we're busy trying to change ourselves into one of those different tones, we'll never vibrate. They pick it up. You're not being authentic, right? And I'm not resonating with you. That's the truth. If I let my authenticity shine, who I really am, there's still going to be people who I don't resonate with, right? But I'm going to let that person who does ring. I'm giving them permission to shine out, to sing out. I'm encouraging them, right? That's the power we have here. And that little metaphor jumped at me today. I was like, whoa. So, nuts and bolts. How do we use it? How do we use it? When I think about what you guys are going to want to hear, right? Or how I'm supposed to look, or what my background is supposed to be like, any of that stuff, it gets in the way of my resonating. It's almost like me, trying to put clothing on this, change it somehow. And when I just go, whoa, okay, I'm scared, here it is, and I do it anyways, right? And I just let it ring out and be truthful, I get the feedback like I am with you now. It's true. It resonates. You know, we can't deny a truth. We ring to it. You can't bury it. You can't hide it. You can't pretend you didn't hear it, right? If something resonates with you, you vibrate with it, right? I'm trying to put my guitar away so I don't damage it. All right, cool. So following that same metaphor, what I've been finding power in is our opportunity with social media, with 2 billion users on Facebook, is that the more I get in touch with who I am, what I like, what resonates with me, right? The more I'm able to identify those qualities in other people. The more I'm able to identify those different groups, etc., that draw me in. And when I engage with people, the more I'm able to get in tune with that, the more I'm just sharing from my authentic self, things that interest me, my family, things that I find humorous, whatever. And the point isn't to sell anything. The point is just to be myself and to give others permission to be themselves, right? And that's where the engagement happens, the conversations happen. And then at some point, I initiate a conversation and I'll take it offline and say, Rachel, thank you so much for, commenting on my post. You've always been such a great friend to me. And you've demonstrated in my life what being fearless is all about, and you've encouraged me to do things that are totally crazy and scary. And I would love to tell you about something that I've been involved in that has completely changed my life. And that I've gone from being really afraid to having purpose again. So would you do me a great favor? I have something I'd love to show you. And I'm hoping that if you take a look at it, it might bring someone you know to mind. That's an easy conversation. That's a really easy conversation. And that shift has been such a beautiful one. And it still doesn't roll off the tongue. There's still a little fear in there, but the more I do it, the less that fear is impacting me. You know what I mean? So that's basically what I wanted to share with y'all today. And I'm really hoping that, I've added a little value to your lives, and would love to actually hear from any of you who want to share what you're struggling with, what you're afraid of. So go ahead. I'm going to pass the floor over.
I want to first just acknowledge you, Juan, that for really exemplifying the theme of this by being vulnerable, starting off with, sharing what your what have been fears for you. And I wanted to acknowledge that, your business, like, this is something that happens. Like, people will be in their warm market. And it's like when they first start, they sign up a bunch of people that they know, their friends or family. And it seems really easy. And then it's like, now who do I sign up? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, well, now is when the work begins. Because now it's like, how do I contribute to people's lives and really start making friends? Really with the intention to make a difference. And then actually have authentic conversations so that you find if there's an opening and that person might need this or might need what you have, and then you can offer it. And learning how to, and what I wanted to say was that you are a master of strangers. I was telling you this last night, that, Juan is someone who is one of the only people I know who really, like, a lot of the people that you sign up are strangers, people that you've never met. You just meet them online. And you just have these conversations, and then they all of a sudden, they're using the product and doing the business, So it's really like this conversation is so valuable. So I wanted to insert that, as an example, and then, go ahead and let other people share and answer your question. You were asking people to step forward and, like, what are some of their fears? And inviting people to be vulnerable.
I have a fear that I can share that comes up for me often. Um, you guys can hear me, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And that is the fear of not having all the facts, not knowing like all the perfect, tidy little pieces of information that are really going to make a difference for someone. Just today, I was in my greenhouse and I was about to do a Facebook Live on inviting people to come over and get some vitamin D, because it's a sunny day and we've had a lot of cold days lately, and something stopped me from doing that. I just wanted to get a little bit of research in before I did this Facebook Live. I was like, okay, well, what is this exactly, this vitamin D thing? Which I thought was good. But then I ended up learning that my greenhouse is, built out of polycarbonate panels. And guess what? Polycarbonate blocks UV rays. So I'm not actually getting any vitamin D. But anyway, so that's, like I want to do my research. I want to know, like, what are the details? Like, why does this stuff work so good? And for all kinds of things. And so that is a fear that often stops me. I guess it's like the fear of not being an expert, not being seen as someone who, is well trained or who has gone through, freaking 5 years of medical school or whatever. So yeah, something that um, is coming up more and more, and I'm learning more and more at the same time. So yeah. Anyway, that's my thing.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really, really been a struggle of mine as well. Who am I to share about health and fitness, being a man overweight and diabetic, et cetera, right? Who am I to talk about authenticity or anything else? Who am I to do that, right? And I've fallen back on old habits. I think I resonate a lot with being a researcher. I've geeked out so hard on purium, so hard on metabolism and all the different illnesses that I've researched in an effort to try to offer somebody what they need. You know what I mean? And what I've fallen into is, in hindsight, in retrospect, a lot of the people that I signed up, because I had taken so much time to research and maybe bring some answers to the conversation, whatever, I've set this up as some sort of expertise. Because in reality, there's no degree in expert, right? We've heard that from some of our trainers. And expertise is something that we attribute to somebody who's really only done a little bit more research than we have. See what I mean? So you don't need to know a lot to be expert in something relative to somebody else who's done no research. And yet, the truth of it is, and back to harmonics, I've not only really been tuning in to how I feel when I deliver information, but checking in with others about how they feel. And most people, and this is something that Bob Heilig has been talking about a lot, aren't interested in features and benefits. They really aren't. What drew folks in to my story more and more is the simplicity of the impact that it's had on my life, and impact in general terms. Having more energy to pursue my dreams, having the opportunity to ask myself what it is that I want to do with my life. You know what I mean? Being in service with others, having impact and significance in life. These general terms are ones that a lot of people are going to vibrate with. You know what I mean? Because most people are suffering from a lack of connection. That's at the heart of overeating, drug abuse, suffering of all kinds, is we're disconnected from one another. You know what I mean? And if here's another metaphor, is that movie, The Matrix, where I think it's Orpheus, is that his name, the leader? He's got the two pills, right? So he's got the red one and the blue one, and he's giving impact statements to Neo, right? If you eat this one, you'll wake up and your life will be the same. If you eat this one, You know, you'll really wake up. You know, you're going to see the truth. He didn't say, eat this one and, you know, you're going to live a life. This one's this one's GMO, and this one's, you know, and this one here is organic, and it's, you know, it's made with, it's got 30, all the knife, you see what I'm saying? I could go into the details and that wouldn't have mattered. It was the impact statements. And I realized that that's the power here. You know, you let the tools do all the talking, and it takes the pressure off of me too. You know, I've found something that's really helped people in a similar situation to yours, or something that might help people that you know. And this whole idea of prospecting through has been really powerful as well, because there isn't a need for me to tell you what's good for you. I'm asking you to do me a favor and check something out in hopes that it might help somebody you love. Now, who's going to say no to that? You know, so it's easier. I think the less we put ourselves in that expert position, and the more we put ourselves in a real position and loving position, the more power we have. That's just my opinion. It's what's been resonating more and more for me. So I'm hoping that is valuable. And I see I'm new
Agreed.
to this hosting thing. So Robin Tala has his hand up. I guess you just chime
Yeah,
in, Robin.
hey, how you doing?
Great. Thank you. How are you?
Nice, man. Feeling good. I just am very inspired by your share. It was just so authentic and heartfelt. And what my experience has been is that when you come from that place of genuineness and heartfeltness, people really feel that. It's just like that tuning fork with the string. It's like people are out there in the world looking for that feeling everywhere, because so much of our culture is so devoid of that authentic connection. Everyone feels insecure about themselves in some way or another, and it's really natural to want to hide that and pretend and really feature prominently our most happy shining accomplishments. And no doubt it's good to recognize people for their accomplishments, yet when we're only doing that in person and on social media, it can come off as hollow, or it can come off as fake. And so even more so, it's a self-perpetuating pattern. I think people are just hungry for that authenticity and that vulnerability, because it really offers, I mean, I want to be careful with the word permission, because it's not like I have any authority over you anyway to tell you what you can and can't do, but it offers a camaraderie that I think encourages people up into that place of vulnerability in themselves as well. And so by you exemplifying that for us here, it's just like a big exhale. You know, when I was hearing your story, I was just like, it just like made me feel so much more comfortable to just be my flawed self. And I was actually just at a workshop in Sacramento with Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., the son of the man who wrote the Four Agreements, and his brother Don Jose Ruiz, and they were speaking, and one of the things that they were saying is that the Four Agreements, which I think a lot of us are probably familiar with, are really great, but you have to be careful not to let them turn into rules or like things to hold yourself to. Like if you're not perfect at being impeccable with your word, then you're somehow failing. And he talked about how the Four Agreements can become the four conditions. The Four Agreements here can become the four conditions where we judge ourselves against, and how none of us are perfect, and that flaws in ourselves are actually just cultural conditioning. They're just ideas that the collective is holding up as standards, and that we're comparing ourselves to. And when we really get down to it, it's like those flaws are actually the uniqueness that makes us exactly who we are. And so I just felt so inspired by that, by hearing him say that, and giving us permission, and giving himself permission to just be his own flawed self. And then also that just connects to Brene Brown's work, that, you know, one of my heroes, that I listened to her audiobooks and her lectures on YouTube for the last 5+ years. And it's just been so helpful to me in my path, just in saying that, you know, when we are vulnerable, it's easy to feel like we are exemplifying some kind of weakness. like we're being weak when we're being vulnerable, because it's scary to be vulnerable. So it sometimes can feel weak, but then when we see someone else being vulnerable, like Juan on this call today, you know, just throw one in the comments if you thought, wow, how courageous, you know, when you heard Juan speaking, right? And so then the work becomes, how do we look at ourselves in the same way that we look at someone else? How do we look at ourselves, and when we're being, you know, vulnerable, think, wow, how courageous can you to do that, to step forward and hold ourselves in that esteem that we would hold someone else. So I just think this topic is incredibly valuable, and like you said, applies to all facets of life, not just to Purium and not just to our network marketing business. Yet this is one of the most powerful tools that we can use in our network marketing business, because this business is a business of relationships. And when we get out there and share our vulnerable story and share our flawed self in a way that's courageous and inspire others to do the same, it builds relationships. And people, you know, it's like that expert thing that some people were talking about earlier. I get that totally. And it's such a liberating feeling to realize that people aren't looking for an expert. They're looking for a friend. And we have tools that give them the answers to the questions they need. We have the Core 3 group, we have Connect calls, we have Zooms, we have live events, we have the natural conductor, we have the knowledge base in our back office. And it's actually better for our business and implication if we exemplify that you don't have to be an expert. So just be a friend, you know, just be a friend. And when someone asks you a question that you're not prepared to answer, just tell them that. That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. I could probably find someone who does. So I'll get back to you. And people are like, yeah, they love the honesty, they appreciate the vulnerability. So for me in my personal journey, it was just, I remember a visceral moment where I made that leap from choosing to hide to choosing to step out. And where I made that leap of realizing that being my full self unapologetically and gaining that confidence by just being myself was the key to my success. And I can trace my success, you know, from, you know, beat ranking director and executive up to ranking, you know, back to re-ranking diamond, ranking green and blue diamond, to that decision and really coming forward and stepping into my own self along these lines of what we're talking about. So I just think this is just such an important topic, and I'm so glad that you guys are hosting this call. And Juan, you're a natural speaker, and so I look forward to hearing more of you.
Thank you so much, Robin, and what a beautiful share. Thank you so much. It's on point, 100%. And I want to reflect back to you that I've always admired your bravery. You are yourself in a very big, beautiful way. And I was intimidated by that when I first met you, to be perfectly honest, you know, but you've given me permission. And, you know, an interesting thing to follow on the metaphor of the guitar string, it's under a considerable amount of tension, a lot of tension, actually. It wants to be at rest. It doesn't want to vibrate, and it won't vibrate. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a neat thing about the tuning fork, is it compels it to vibrate. You know what I mean? And so if the more I get in touch with what makes me vibrate, those qualities, right? And the more I hold on to those as the gems and jewels of my being, and acknowledge them and show them to the world, right? The more people who may contain those similar qualities can't help it. You know, they can't help it. It shakes them. It vibrates them. And the more even it's powerful, because, you know, it goes beyond this business. It's a state of being. That's what I'm learning. I don't have to master the business. I have to master me, right? And I have to master loving, and I have to master recognizing and reflecting those qualities back to people, you, to Rachel, everyone around me. That's the opportunity we have. You know what I mean? And that's what they resonate with, because exactly as you said, that's what they're hungry for. That's what we're giving them. That's the food. That's the magic, you know? Anyways, I see some more hands up, but thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it.
I just wanted to jump in again, because
Sure.
I wanted to say that one of the reasons I invited you the big reason I invited you to lead this call with me and to do my Sunday call is because something changed in how you were posting. There was suddenly you were sharing from your vulnerable place, your deepest self, and you were asking questions of yourself publicly, online, in Facebook Lives, having deep inquiry, and you were showing yourself as not the expert, but as the person seeking answers and having an idea of some things that might be helpful. And it was a humble place. And this was something that deepened my connection to you and made me want to see your post and made me want to follow your post and made me want to hear what you had to say. It made me want to follow you because you were actually speaking some authenticity. You're speaking some authentic things to you that I knew were challenging. And before, now something in you had to have shifted for you to be able to get to a place of not sharing what was real for you. Not saying you weren't sharing what was real for you. I mean, in the very beginning, you posted your before and after pictures. So high five, hallelujah. That's like the most vulnerable thing. But your business was booming in the beginning and then it slowed down. And now it's like got this life again. And I feel like I'm seeing people responding more to your posts too. And so I'm wondering for you, what was it like? I'm in the public place. What was it that got you to that point, and what did it feel like to shift from this truthful place?
Oh, wow.
And getting more truthful all the time.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm breaking up.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I heard your question. Yeah, I guess this is getting naked here. If you all really want to know, I've always been a bit of an esotericist and gone down those rabbit holes of comparative religion studies, et cetera, right? And there are certain passages in scriptures or moments in these mythologies or truths or whatever, however you want to hold it in your own personal life, that always seem really strange to me until I have something that resonates. I'm like, oh, now I get it, right? So bear with me. Christ is on the cross, all right? Let's get really deep here. And there's that moment of struggle against it. And he yells out in pain, my God, why have thou forsaken me? And I always wonder, like, what the hell is this? Why would this enlightened being have to go to that point of suffering? And it's in that point of suffering, it's in that point of surrender, like, I fought against it, and then there's nothing left. I've done all the tasking. I've done the classes. I've gone to the seminars. I've been to the convention. I've listened to the masterminds. I've read books. I've, gone to therapy. I've done all the little tasking I can do. And then the one thing that I have left to do is the one thing that I realized I've been avoiding. And everybody has that one thing in their life that you're doing everything else except addressing, And so I decided that I wasn't going to really give a damn anymore. Really, I wasn't. Like, those who didn't resonate with me could just slough off, and I have no choice considering what's the true kernel in all of the success stories from people who have pushed through their fears and have persevered in this career is that they come to a point where they have to be themselves, where they have to be truthful and vulnerable and open. You know what I mean? So Facebook is no longer a place where I'm trying to convince anybody that I'm right. You know what I mean? It's not about that anymore. I was looking for affirmation before. And now I'm just looking for this opportunity to share my heart and for others to share theirs with me. Because I need it. I need it. They need it. We need it. And it's feeding me, and it's what's giving me hope, and it's what's keeping me going. And the more I do it, the more I get this positive feedback like you just gave me. So it becomes less and less frightful, Now, to be honest with you, I'm scared as hell of my success. How's that for crazy? That's the next obstacle, to be afraid of actually going crown or actually hitting diamond. That scares the shit out of me. I just said that out loud for the first time, but that's crazy. Isn't that crazy? It's another level of crazy. It's just the story that we present ourselves. So let's turn that red light into a green light, to take it from Bob Heilig's training again. You know, in truth, who am I serving if I don't share? Right? How would I have been benefited if you were too afraid to come and share your honest truth, Rachel? You know, I would never have known about this. Never. So the more I speak my truth, the more I'm going to get those other, you know, people who resonate with my tuning fork to vibrate. And you can't help but notice them, because it's all of a sudden it'll be a cacophony. They're all around you, you know? So I noticed there's a bunch of hands up. I wanted to honor those. Looks like we have Deborah and Alana. Deborah, are you still online?
Yes, yay, thank you, Juan. Wow, this is awesome, really great. I love, you know, I gotta, if I'm really vulnerable, like really vulnerable, what comes up for me is I want to do exactly what you're doing. I want a chance. Humbly, I have to ask my upline, please give me a chance where I can lead a mastermind so that my creativity can shine and I can share forth, because that's where I come alive, and that's where I will reach more of my people or bring my team on. So I honor you, Juan. You're really doing it. You're doing a great job in being vulnerable, sharing your truth, and I especially loved you bringing the guitar on. I love that. One thing I used to do, I taught lights, camera, action, something I dreamed up in my 30s in Marin, and I did dance, music, theater, video feedback, and poetry with video feedback, so that people would see where they light up, where they come alive, or where we're not authentic, you know. And so I for sure come alive on the dance floor or singing in my love choir, just being with warm, fuzzy friends who love me and trust me. And, you know, I think also I signed up a lot of people in the beginning, you know, about 30 or something. And now I'm really, I'm not going to say struggle, because I've taken the struggle out, but I'm exploring where can I reach more people. And that video with Gabriel Diamond singing, I used to use him for my dance classes, so I put that on my Facebook page early this morning around 9 a.m. And then it was cool to see it as part of this. So yeah, I'm wanting to do more Zooms with my team and show up and deliver a mastermind, to feel like I rate. No, that I can be, that I have the space to share my heart and soul with all of you. So I love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I get the guitar, that thing with the guitar resonating. Oh, it was so cool to hear your voice come through the guitar. Thank you, love.
I'm going to have to hear the recording and see how that sounds.
Yeah, see your voice when you took the thing off and put it there,
So,
then your voice went magic. So play with that more.
thank you for sharing. There were other hands up, but now I'm not seeing them on the screen. So whoever has something to share wants to.
Alana and Grace.
Hey, Juan, I'll
Okay.
jump on. I'm not going
Hi,
to talk
Grace.
long because I talk a lot. Hey, I wanted to loop back to what Monica said, though, about, you know, when she really just spoke out about being afraid of not having all the knowledge or not considered, you know, well-researched or whatever. And really just invite us all to consider, like, what's under that initial fear. Like, we have our fear of not being whatever. But one of the quotes that has stuck with me that I think I heard from Rachel is that the fear of ridicule is stronger than the fear of death. I really just want to, like, bring that to the table for people to consider and think about. Like, that's so huge. You know, the fear of ridicule. We're more afraid of being ridiculed, being not right, having people not, you know, hold us in high esteem than we are of actually dying. And so I just thought that that was good grist for the mill as we're kind of dropping into, you know, what we're afraid of, and then like what's really deeper under that, because I think it helps put it into perspective somehow. And awesome, Juan, you know, I mean, obviously you got such great feedback on Sunday, and here you are leading a mastermind, and it's been beautiful to just see who shows up to take in that energy and really, you know, bless and love you up. So thanks for showing up.
Wow, thank you so much for that feedback and for your contribution. That's awesome. In fact, while you were saying that, I was like going through my life and going, yeah, you know, I was suffering greater and greater degrees of death and illness. I mean, it was closing down on me, and I was afraid of really being who I was meant to be in this world. Purium gave me an opportunity to go, well, screw that, you know, and we're rolling the dice here. But the truth is, this is so juicy. This is so yummy. Being around my ohana, being around my family, being around people that reflect this to me, that give me permission in a way, give me the feedback to keep on pushing, brother, you know? I'm just fired up. And to see men on the call, I'm like, yeah, my brothers, you know, because I think the men in the world need this. You know, I love the you know, the ladies are all fired up, but man, I know so much suffering happens amongst our brothers, you know. Just anyways, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Cool.
Alana's next, and then Lior. We have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll be quick. Thank you so much, Juan, for sharing. It's right on time for me to hear this. I just got back from leading a yoga retreat in Costa Rica, and a lot came up there around being vulnerable. I've been running a yoga retreat business for the last 5 years, and I've never broken down in tears while holding space for other people, but I did on this retreat. I had 2 other teachers with me, and it felt like I couldn't hold it back. And I remember after I had this like breakthrough in front of my students, essentially, I was like crying, like, I feel so embarrassed right now. But they were also inspired because it gave them permission to express themselves and to cry and, you know, make incredible leaps in their own journey. So it's like resounding right now, just like be open. Even though it is so scary for me to be open on a platform like Facebook when I have such a large following, people who seem to have opinions about everything that I post, you know. And so it's just like not giving an F, you know, I guess, because our vulnerability really does help people. And another thing I wanted to mention real quick is that I, as a yoga teacher as well, I found that I started to hide behind my teaching. I stopped sharing on the level that you're talking about, like seeking questions openly, like I don't know, and I would hide behind the lesson itself as the teacher. So, oh man, this year is really special because Purium's come into my life, and it's like really shaking me up. Like I'm growing in such fast, profound ways all over again. And I'm so grateful to people like Sarah and Robin for believing in me. Like you mentioned, your Ohana is believing in you, and for holding the standards higher than I had been holding them for myself. I was getting very comfortable. And my business is slowing down this month too. And just hearing that that's sort of the ebb and flow sometimes of how it goes. And just being on this call, like I reached out to 2 more people today when I hadn't reached out really in a couple days. So thank you so much, Juan. And I look forward to connecting with you.
I look forward to it too. That was such a beautiful share. Thank you so much for that testimony of what we're talking about. And you know, I know that I'm endeared to people who tell me that they don't have all the answers. That's awesome. Like Robin was saying, you know, I don't know, but let's find out together. Let's find out together. How cool is that? It's inquiry, it's excitement, it's curiosity, you know, and it doesn't put me above anybody else or vice versa. That's awesome. So thank you so much for sharing that. Great story.
We are next. Lyra, you're muted.
Okay, try again. Thank you so much, everyone, for everything you've shared. It's been really valuable. And the biggest fear I think I keep coming up with in this is that when I feel like really truly myself, it's like when I'm in the woods. It's like when I'm out living in the woods and I'm not on the computer. And that's one place. And the other is when I'm singing and when I'm performing and when I'm doing my music. And I really appreciated Mikey Palmer's video that you shared, Rachel, because he even said there that he almost didn't even show up for his video shoot because he was so scared of revealing himself. And that video was so profound, like so touching. Maybe you could put the link in these notes here, Rachel. So one thing I am facing, like I signed up for Bob Healig's class, and in the past I signed up for Eric Worre's too. Like I paid a bunch of money and got his program, and it's like I honestly just don't really like being on the computer. I don't really like being on social media a lot, and so I've actually really laid back. I'm a high touch person more than a high tech enjoyment, and like I was just teaching ice skating on an outdoor rink for the last 2 months, like every day for the last 2 months, and it was extreme high touch, like just being around people all day, and definitely have a lot of leads for Purium from that with all the parents I interacted with. And now I'm like, okay, a lot of the follow-up is going to go back to the high tech. So I'm just, that's my edge and where my fair realm is. And then I think just the bigger picture of everything you've talked about just stepping out and being okay with being who you are and really coming from a loving place. And I think even some of my friends who've done Purium ended up not liking it or disappearing or just not really being strongly on committed to their weight loss or staying on the path. And so that's been a little discouraging, and just keep going attitude and to keep coming from love. So yeah, I've been in the raw food movement since the late 90s, and I definitely am not like, I don't know everything either about the products or the business or health and nutrition. I'm even a certified health coach, and it's like, I really do just have to, like, that was really affirming to hear you say that, Juan, to just step out of trying to think you know everything and like come from love and service. So here's to everyone. Hi, 10. Thank
you for that share. And I just like to tell you that when you said you prefer to be in nature, so do I. I really do. My wife can attest to this. If I had my way, I'd be that long bearded dude, the ripped up shorts that you see in the beginning of the Monty Python credits. That's me. Yeah. So I encourage you to share that truth. Be that person. That's what you love, and you'll find if that's what you're resonating with. Perhaps other groups on Facebook of local hikers or whatever. But you're right. If the high touch is your thing, here's the deal. Like I've been actively writing down the qualities of builders and influencers, because those are the qualities I'm like, okay, I'm going to tune my fork. I'm my radar is up for that. And I'm reflecting those qualities, those leadership qualities, those influential qualities of other people too. So you may find that in your hikes in the woods, you by being your loving self, and that big smile of yours is going to resonate with somebody who's really good at social media. Affirm and attract that, because you don't have to be that. We get to attract people into our teams who have qualities that we don't. I want people who are really good time blockers and managers of time and are self-starters, and will just be able to take this and learn it and teach it simply. Because the other thing that Bob Eilig was talking about is that simplicity is the key to duplicity. We have to duplicate because it's simple. If it's hard, then then we can't do it. So thanks for your share. Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Juan. What a great Zoom. Thank you for sharing the power of vulnerability, demonstrating it. And it's the end, but I'm going to just say something vulnerable for me, which is the fact that I have this incessant problem with technology not working. My computer's in the shop, and then I was getting ready to do the Zoom on my phone, and my phone broke. And so then I brought my iPad I was like trying to get to Juan's house. I was like, if I can just find Juan's house, because I didn't have a GPS or anything. And I was like, I'm just going to go to Juan's house. So I drove around to Windsor, and then I couldn't find you. So I ended up at Omelets Express. So I just plugged my iPhone in, and guess what? My charger didn't work. My charger was broken. And I'm like, what the hell? So then I was like asking all the wait staff if they had a charger that I can use. And I finally, after 2 that didn't work, I finally found one that did. And I'm like crunched up to this little wall with this tiny little cord in this restaurant with people around me trying to lead a Zoom. And that is not really fun. Let me tell you, that stress was so overwhelming. So, and I'm like going in and out of service. I can tell it's like chopping. So,
and you've been able to build an absolute incredible empire of love with all that limitation. So if Rachel can do it.
And it's been ongoing. I've been having problems with technology since the beginning. It's like 2.5 years, almost 3 years now. And I have constantly had challenges. I feel like Linus, who has a little cloud above him. It's like I have this little like static interference with all my technology, and it is really vulnerable. Let me tell you, when you're supposed to lead, it's like, dang, how could that go wrong?
You're so anyway, energetic.
Thanks for bearing with me, and you did fabulous, Juan. And this is also, I want this to be an example of leadership, that you show up no matter what. You show up no matter what. And I even said, Juan, I was like, take over the Zoom because I don't know if I'm going to last here. So you saw that message?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. You know, it's because you're so energetic. You vibrate so intensely. You fry your gadgets. That's what it is.
That could be.
I think so.
It's my second time.
I think you fry.
Oh my gosh.
You need to shield your gadgets from you instead of the other way around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to work on that.
All right, you guys. I love you so much.
All right, thanks,
you for
everyone.
joining. I'm going to turn off the recording, but awesome.
All right.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Love you guys. Thanks, Juan. You're amazing.